members. Walk out of this chamber. Nothing will come. I said we get right anymore. I said we get right anymore today. I said we get right everybody. We know you. We want to break it up. I said we will leave. We should make them have to leave. We will not condone this something. What do you think you are? Nothing of what I say. Honorable members, honorable members, the request honorable members on the majority side, everybody should walk out. Let's walk out. Walk out. Walk out. Everybody, hold on. Let's go. Let's go. Hold on.
My name is Benjamin Akakpo. This is The Probe. What you just saw were members of parliament at it again, at each other's throats, so to speak, on the floor of parliament. You would see Davis Opoku-Ansah, member of parliament from Prayaso, and how he was shouting, Asiedu must go, he must go. Asiedu Nketia,
yes.
A very good evening to you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for joining us right here on The Probe. What was running through your mind as the member of parliament from Prayaso was shouting that you had to leave the gallery?
I was enjoying it, actually.
You were enjoying it?
Yes.
How so?
Because it's somebody who is displaying ignorance of the laws of the house. So I was just enjoying what was happening.
Right. You were not the only one in the gallery. There were other people there.
There were several people, more than 20 people in the gallery. And that's supposed to be the public gallery. In fact, a parliament without a public gallery is not a parliament. Because MPs are representatives. MPs are representatives of the people.
Right.
It is because you cannot get a house that will contain 30 million Ghanaians. That's why there must be representation.
Right.
So what the MPs do is that they take our mandate and go to exercise it on our behalf. So there must always be a public gallery where any member of the public who chooses to go and observe how his mandate is being exercised on his behalf is free to get access. And so that is why there is a public gallery. So I believe the guy who was shouting, he's been less than 8 months in parliament. And he would have helped himself because the first year when you come to parliament, what you need to do is you focus on the rules of parliament. You read the standing orders, you read the constitution very well, and then understand what happens in parliament.
Are you suggesting the member of parliament from Prayaso was merely
I
displaying
think he
ignorance?
has no idea how parliament runs at all. That is the impression I had. Because, you see, he should know even when you say parliament house, the various divisions in the parliament have the various compartments and so on. What you call parliament house,
right?
You have the floor of parliament, and then you have the lobbies, and then you have the galleries. The galleries, you have public gallery, press gallery, and so on. So each of them is governed by rules as to who can be there and who cannot be there. Okay. So the public gallery is reserved for members of the general public.
Right.
You know. So if a democracy is functioning well, and the people themselves are interested in how their nation is governed, you should be expecting a full gallery every day. Okay. So when you are in the public gallery, the only two occasions where you can be asked to leave the gallery is where Parliament decides to sit in camera, or what is called the closed sitting. Then the speaker will clear the galleries. They will ask the galleries to be cleared. Then they are cleared. That is one of the occasions where the public gallery is actually shut to members of the public. The other occasion will be where an occupant of the public gallery is displaying a conduct that seems to run contrary to the rules that govern the public gallery. For instance, in some parliament, it could be said that you should not be taking phone calls while you are sitting in the public gallery.
Right.
You should not be taking pictures or whatever. You should not be shouting, you know.
So I mean, every parliament has its own rules.
And you should not show placards when you are in the gallery and so on. So if you breach them, then you could be warned.
Right.
Then on the second occasion, if you continue, then the speaker can ask a marshal. The parliament security is called marshal.
Right.
Then they will come and handle you.
General, now that you cite, Davis and his actions on the day, how did you find them? I mean, how do you react to what he was doing on the floor of Parliament, calling for you to be ousted?
Well, you don't react to ignorance. He was insisting on non-existent rights. So I just enjoyed it, and I don't have anything to say about it. I believe that his own constituents and the elders of his party will call him and ask him to study the rules of the House so that he does not embarrass the party.
It doesn't appear that would be it, because there were other members of his party who were supporting him, there, calling for you to be removed from Parliament.
Their case is worse, particularly the majority leader, because you've been there for more than 20 years, and you know all the rules. For you to allow a backbencher, who is just a fresher, who hasn't studied the rules, to be ordering you and then you following them out, is a bigger offense than what the conduct that backbencher put up.
Did it come to you as a surprise? I mean, your presence in Parliament, did you feel it would ruffle feathers the way it did?
No, because Parliament has been my house. I've been an MP for 12 years.
Right.
And before becoming an MP, I participated in writing the Constitution, which they are applying now. So I know what is in the Constitution and what went into putting what is there inside, And I participated in the drafting of the standing orders. So I know what the standing orders contain, and I've been in Parliament 12 years applying these standing orders. Even though there have been some changes, there have not been any substantial changes. The key principles are the same. And so, but what didn't surprise me was that MPP was acting as MPP.
How do you mean?
Yes, because, this was a party which, instead of eating humble pie, to get to the realization that the parliament, as it used to be, is no longer like that. They are living in some self-denial.
Right.
They still think that the majority which they were controlling in the past still exists. Perhaps the description of majority leader still can be blamed for this, because in actual fact there is no majority in Parliament, because the two major parties,
independent candidate,
the independent candidate by law cannot declare that he's MPP. The day he declares it, he has to resign for a by-election.
Right.
Okay. So how did MPP become the majority leader, when a majority party, when they are 137 and this is 137? But because they've used some legal gymnastics to name somebody majority leader, So he still carries the impression that he controls majority of the House, and that is not the case.
General, do tell us, what exactly was the role you were playing, at the gallery on Friday? Some have said that your presence there actually disrupted government business, and this is crucial government business because we are talking about the approval of a budget, without which approval, like has been said, intimated by government, things will grind to a halt. You could have decided, even when the speaker had told you not to, budge, you could have decided in the national interest to go out. What were you doing there that was so important?
The speaker didn't make any pronouncement about my presence.
Yes, I mean,
he didn't, because
the majority side called on him.
No, they didn't call on him. You don't call on the speaker by shouting. You understand? You catch the speaker's eye, and then he invites you to put your point across. So if you are on the floor, just shouting as if Ketia must go, you are just seen as a busybody. Nobody, minds what you have said. So however loud you shout, legally, you are not drawing the speaker's attention to anything. You understand? So when the speaker is in the chair and things are happening on the floor, somebody must bring it to the attention of the speaker.
Are you suggesting that after all the shouts and chants, yes, someone must raise the hand and all of that? Are you saying the speaker's eye, didn't catch any of them trying to get his attention, that you must be sent out?
No. Legally, no. The speaker does not have that. He cannot descend into the arena of controversy. So you remember there was a time, there was some fisticuffs on the floor of Parliament.
Right.
And somebody was alleged to have attempted to slap another MP. And so
Are you talking of the January 6th?
Justice Annan, no.
Incident?
The very first or second Parliament or so. Justice Annan was then presiding.
Right.
So nobody drew the attention of Speaker that this conduct has happened on the floor and so on. So later on, they were in the media accusing Justice Annan, and he said he didn't see it. When the matter was probed, they discovered that you need to draw the attention, you need to bring whatever has happened there to the attention of the speaker properly.
Right.
Because there are rules as to how you draw the attention of Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Because he does not descend into the arena of controversy.
General, hold your horses right there. It gets even more interesting. And we're going to surprise not just you, but all our viewers. We have a bit of a surprise package in the person of the Member of Parliament from Praia, so Davis Opoku-Ansah, who joins us now via Zoom. Davis, thank you for joining the conversation on The Probe. Now, we're in the studio with the General Secretary of the NDC, who was in the public gallery on Friday, that is in Parliament. And he has described your actions as being smacking of ignorance. On hindsight, do you feel your actions were unparliamentary? I mean, the General has said that for a first-timer, you should have been focusing on learning the ropes when it comes to Parliament, but you were there calling for his ousting when you knew absolutely nothing about parliamentary procedure in that respect. How do you react to that?
Well, first of all, let me say a very good evening to our viewers, and also to say that I can forgive the General Secretary of the NDC for displaying such ignorance on your program. Yes, he's been a member of Parliament before, but learning the rules do not take 10 years to do so. It did take 10 years. For some of us, we've been blessed enough that we know the ins and outs of the book. I mean, the standing orders of our Parliament. So I can forgive him. But first of all,
are you?
Yes.
If I could just chip in, are you questioning the intelligence of a former, member of Parliament?
Well, you can sit in Parliament for 8 terms, and if you don't know, you don't know. So, I mean, if you look at what he's saying there, there hasn't been any major changes to the standing orders of Parliament. So I expect that he knows better. But clearly, Asedun Ketia is displaying. I'm sure that he thinks it's on one of these account stations where he can easily have his way and lie and just go scot-free. But like I'm saying, learning the rules of Parliament does not take 4 years to do so.
Davis, that point is very well made. So are you saying that you have no remorse at all for how you reacted on the floor of Parliament on Friday, calling for Asidu Nketia to be thrown out? Are you saying you don't regret it in any way? You don't think it was unparliamentary? You have no regrets?
I do not think it was unparliamentary. First of all, I'm a member of Parliament, and I got into Parliament at a time when COVID was on the rise. Parliament took a decision that it was not going to allow for people to sit in the gallery. So I don't know if you've observed, for some time now, people are not allowed into the gallery of Parliament, even when we are sitting. Members of the public are not allowed in our gallery. I'm wondering how special Asidu Nketia is that they will be allowed to come
again, pardon my interjection. I'm sorry that I have to do this, but on the day,
worry,
on Friday, just to make the point clear, it was not only Asidu Nketia who was in the public gallery. So this point you make about people not being allowed in the gallery is a bit curious.
Well, it was Asidu Nketia and his entourage. He came with a team, and he cannot deny that. He came with some heavily built men who stood by him all this while. Of course, because the day was a very important day, whether or not the Parliament was going to accept the motion brought forth by the Finance Minister, you would expect that you would have a large media presence. So you realize that the media gallery could not accommodate all the media personnel. So some members of the media were also in the public gallery. That is appreciated. I mean,
we can also confirm, our reporters also confirmed to us that apart from even the media people, there were still other people who were not part of Asidu Nketia's entourage who were also there.
Well, they should name them. I'm telling you that Parliament, for a very long time, ever since COVID broke up, has not allowed anybody into the public gallery. And you can verify from Parliament. I mean, we have had visitors come from elsewhere. They want to observe what goes on in Parliament, but they are denied access to the public gallery because of COVID. And this is a fact. So I'm only saying that how different is Asidu Nketia from the young man that came from Bunduri and wanted to have an experience of what goes on in the public gallery? Parliament says no, you cannot come there. So who is Asidu Nketia that he should be allowed to sit whilst others are being denied the opportunity to do so? Two.
You are aware though that he is chair of the Parliamentary Service Board. You know that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You mean that carries no weight at all?
That is not his place. That is not his place. That is not his place. I mean, that point must be made. That is not Asidu Nketia's place. I mean, he can laugh, but I've exposed him, and clearly, I mean, it took him some 12 years to learn the standing orders of the House. So I can understand his display of ignorance on this program. But you see, two, this was a serious matter, where at a point a decision was put to a voice vote. I am saying today that the number of people that came in with Asidu Nketia, of course, could have influenced the decision of the Speaker. I'm sure maybe they could have.
How exactly could they have done that? People in the gallery could have influenced the decision of the Speaker?
I am telling you that those who sat with Asidu Nketia came with him. And they came there clouded with partisanship. They came there for an agenda. They came there just to ensure that the business of government comes to a halt. I mean, that's the reason why Asidu Nketia came there, just to ensure he's able to marshal his people to vote against a budget that is going to take care of he himself. He himself, as it says there, a member of the Parliamentary Service Board. This is a budget that was going to take care of him. So clearly, he came there with an agenda.
So Davis, very quickly, two questions, and I want you to wrap on those. One, do you know exactly how many people were in the entourage of Asidu Nketia? Do you know?
I am telling you that everybody who sat with him, everybody, when he left...
Yes, but do you know the number? Do you know how many they were?
Well, I did not, and I did not. I was down there. But I'm telling you that all the guys who sat with Asedu Nketia came with him.
All right. My final question to you. Now, this was a major, decision of Parliament concerning the budget for the year 2022. And owing to your orchestration, I mean, you started calling for Asedu Nketia to be thrown out of Parliament. On the back of that, the majority walked out of Parliament, did not participate in the vote and all of that. Do you feel responsible for that action, which now has led to what some say is a rejection of your budget?
Well, nobody has the power to reject a budget of such nature. First of all, Asedu Nketia knows, I mean, if he's been in Parliament for 3 terms, he needs to study the rules of Parliament. To vote on a matter of this nature, both the Constitution and the Standing Orders of Parliament says that at least majority of members of Parliament must be present at the time of voting. At the time of voting. And this is so because we are representatives of the people. You see, unlike what happens during a referendum and all of that, where decisions are left with the general public to take, we have been elected by the people to take these decisions on their behalf. So the Constitution makes it clear that at every time when voting has to happen, at least half of members of Parliament must be present.
Right.
That's
you're referring to, Article 104, right?
Yeah, Article 104 of our Constitution. And it does not talk about quorum. And that is where they are all getting it wrong. I see them referring to Article 102 and trying to justify what really happened.
Right.
From the count that we had 137 members of Parliament there. At least you needed 138 members of Parliament at the time of voting on the budget. They did not have that. So we believe that nothing has happened. The budget is still under consideration, and hopefully at the appropriate time, Parliament, in its right formation, will take a decision. I mean, it's very clear. It's printed in our books, black and white, Article 104.
Thank you so much, Davis, for joining the conversation and sharing your thoughts as well. Technically, though, I mean, if you divide 275 by 2, you would get 137.5. Of course, you can't have half a human being or half a parliamentarian. So I guess we'll round it up to, the figure of 138. But coming back into the studio, what is your quick reaction to Davis? He says, you may have spent 3 terms in Parliament, but you yourself are ignorant of the standing orders of Parliament. And he says, though you are chair of the Parliamentary Service Board, it counts for nothing. What are your quick reactions to that?
First of all, let me correct that. I'm not chair of the Parliamentary Service Board.
You're a member of the board.
I'm a member of the board and chair of the committee.
Within.
Right.
Thank you for the correction.
But I thank him for, extending the amusement.
For extending the amusement?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes, I enjoyed this. He has made my evening because because he continues to display the same type of things that he displays. So people like that are not ready to learn. You see? And then they think that the business of Parliament is just the continuation of platform talk, where you have a captive audience, you say what you want and get away with it. I went to Parliament with my driver and my ADC. The ADC is sitting there. And they were following me all over the place, my driver and my ADC. That's all.
So your entourage that Davis referred to...
I don't know which entourage he was talking about.
Only 2 people
yes,
in addition to you?
Yes.
Okay.
My driver and my ADC, who is just, luckily he's in this studio and he can confirm to that. So if you see members of the public in the public gallery, and as a member of Parliament, your conclusion is that because I am there, so everybody in the public gallery is part of my entourage. That makes the amusement continue. And again, this whole business of public gallery having been shut down and so on, do you know something? When I went to sit in the public gallery, I was even invited that they have reserved a seat for me on the floor.
On the floor of Parliament?
Yes.
By
in
who?
the lobby.
By who?
I was invited by the clerks. But my seat is down there. I say, oh, I'll get a better view of proceedings when I'm up there. You understand? So he doesn't know what he's talking about. The public gallery is not shut, because if the public gallery is shut, you close the doors so that nobody has access there. You know, the public gallery is not shut.
Was your strategic positioning in any way to influence the vote?
I have the right to sit anywhere I choose in the public gallery. That seat is not determined by anybody. If you enter the public gallery, there are ushers there who can lead you. If the place is filled up, they can locate a seat for you. But on this occasion, it wasn't, there were still many spaces. So I chose where to sit. And I went and sat there in a strategic position where I can observe my MPs perform. And I was enjoying their display.
What advice would you have for Davis, the Member of Parliament for Empire? So if you had any advice to give, what would it be?
He has proven that he's impervious to advice, so you leave him to steam in his ignorance. So you don't advise him again, because it takes somebody who is prepared to learn to actually learn. But the rules are there, the things he's talking about. I'm advising him that your first year in Parliament, you devote it to learning the rules and learning how Parliament operates. Then you will find your level. But for you to come to Parliament less than a year, and you are declaring yourself master of the rules to the point that you are calling people who have been practicing the rules several years as ignorant people. I think that, you know, like I have said before, when you meet a donkey shouting that grass is blue, you don't argue with him.
All right, let's proceed from here. Now, the meat of the matter is that on Friday, your end of Parliament, you know, rejected roundly the budget statement for 2022.
Parliament that rejected the statement. When you are inside the Parliament does
it was your members of Parliament.
Whether you leave or you stay, it is Parliament that is operating.
So Parliament rejected the budget statement. And I mean, was this a triumph for you? I mean, we had heard from Murtala Mohammed, the Tamale Central MP, we had heard from Isaac Adunko, the Bolga Central MP. All of it, they had intimated that this was going to happen. Was this what you were looking for?
Yes.
NDC?
Yes.
That was what you were looking for?
Yes.
And you got it?
We got it. And we're not looking for it for any self-gratification or partisan gratification. The signs were clear that Ghanaians didn't like this budget.
But I mean,
there are challenges.
Let's get to the critical issues. You had spoken about the e-levy and a few other things. But beyond that, I mean, this was a budget that was going to account for road construction, the construction of hospitals, you know, the building of infrastructure and all of that. And you just threw it all away. And that also brings to mind, because the Minister of Finance had at a point wanted to engage your side of Parliament further on some of the budget, and that was also flatly refused.
He was just playing to the gallery.
The Finance Minister was playing to the gallery.
In fact, the fact that the reason why he was given the floor to speak was that everybody thought he was going to convey the output of an earlier engagement to the House and through the House to the general public, because there had been engagement between the leadership on both sides, presided over by the Speaker. And some of the conclusions were that certain objectionable aspects of the budget had been recognized by the Finance Minister. So we should give him opportunity to come and announce those, so that after the announcement, then the two sides will now vote to endorse the budget. So he came to the House with that understanding. And then between the Speaker's block and the floor of the House, all that had changed. And then when he had the opportunity to address the House, instead of announcing those aspects that will be withdrawn, he just got up and changed everything and was now saying that he should be given time to engage. If after an engagement, you have shown this type of, lack of good faith. What type of engagement are you looking for?
But why not just allow him so that peace can prevail? Whatever the additions
where is the peace going to prevail? If you say that they should give you time to go and engage, you understand? Whilst you had already engaged and you were required to come and announce the output of the engagement, and then you come there and turn everything around to say that, give me time to engage. Who else is he going to engage with? The people you have engaged with, you have come around to show bad faith. So how are they going to trust you to sit in any other engagement? And how would they guarantee that after that engagement, you will come and report what you have agreed upon? And that is the problem with MPP. And that is what is catching them up. They don't know how to engage. And anytime you attempt to engage with them in the national interest, they are always having a hidden agenda. So once you move one step, they come around to turn everything around and say a different thing.
Let's talk about the national interest you speak of, because some people have described your move in Parliament, I mean, that of the minority side, as mere vile politicking. Let's go back to the 90s when VAT was introduced, and then we had Siemi Preko, Viemi Preko, Kume Preko. Eventually, we had VAT coming full throttle, and today we still have it.
Yes.
I mean, this e-levy, you have come out to say that it is a killer tax, as some of your members of parliament have said. But is there no positive side to it? You seem to have dug your feet in saying that you will never support this.
When we're talking about VAT, the first time it was introduced, the manner in which it was introduced, the composition, there are several things about it. It's not just the name, you see, and the packaging and all that. It was met with resistance. And we ourselves were in absolute majority in Parliament. But we could have bulldozed it the same way they were doing this, because we were 189 NDC MPs as against 11 non-NDC MPs.
Yeah, but there were the massive protests as well.
Precisely, but all that was outside Parliament. You understand? Do you think that if MPP had that majority now, they will mind whatever protests that is happening outside Parliament? They would have just proceeded. The way they are behaving, they would have just proceeded. But we, members of MPs belonging to the NDC, we ourselves started, criticism from within, that the way this thing has been packaged and presented in the environment of lack of proper education and so on and so forth, we shouldn't push it. Let us withdraw it. I was on Finance Committee. I've been in Finance Committee all these years. And in fact, a cabinet minister, Dr. Obeda Samoa at that time, after arguing in cabinet for the withdrawal and having failed, he walked to our Finance Committee in slippers and in casual dressing. We were all surprised that this powerful man has descended here and dressed casually like that. When we gave him the floor, he said that I am not here as Attorney General or Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am here as Dr. Yawa Samoa, a citizen of this country, and I want to express my views before the Finance Committee. And when we gave him the floor, and he actually convinced us as to why we should object to the budget and to the VAT and demand for its withdrawal. A cabinet minister at that time.
So different situations.
Yes, so we had to withdraw.
Right.
When there were those protests, we listened to the voices of the people and the voices from within, and withdrew it. Went back, repackaged it, and embarked on public education, massive public education. We actually changed the minister and brought in another minister of communication, who then came and did the communication around it, and it was reintroduced much later on, not in the same year. So if you are introducing something, it's not just about all VAT is not VAT, and I guess the same way, all e-levy cannot be e-levy. It depends on how you couch it. So if
the couching of it then, General, is there any shape the e-levy can take that will be acceptable to the NDC?
We are saying that go back and engage the people. There is no public education. Even the
I ask that because some people have said 0.5, others have said 1% or something.
No,
That's why
we are not there at all. We are not there yet. Let the people accept the fact of the VAT and the desirability of the levy and the desirability. Go and explain to the masses why you should be needing that tax now. The telecoms operators themselves were not engaged. You are imposing a tax which will be collected by them. They themselves don't know what you are talking about. You know. So everything has been right. You don't do things that way. And again, a major fundamental issue is that when you look at Parliament, Parliament is an intermediary between the population and government. So Parliament is said to be holding the power of the purse because the Parliament tax the people and then give the money to the executive to go and implement programs that are acceptable and that we think will deliver, good standard of living and whatever for the masses. So when Parliament takes the money from the taxpayers, Parliament must deserve exact accountability from those who manage those resources. That is the role of Parliament we call oversight. So if you have come to a situation where after Parliament gives money to the executive, and Parliament is trying to call the executive to account for those monies, and the executive think that, well, we are in government, so we are not coming, we will not explain anything, nobody. So if you send somebody to the market with money to go and shop, the person comes and he says he won't account to you. The next market day, he comes back and says, give me money to go to the market, will you give? So there are issues about lack of accountability. You remember just last week or so, Brian Champong announced when this problem about presidential travels and the hiring of jets and so on came about. A member of Parliament filed a question demanding an account of the total amount of money spent on this hiring of jets, so Parliament should be able to do a calculation to see whether we should have used it was cheaper for the country to use our presidential jet and so on to do whatever calculation. And this was an urgent question. It has taken more than 6 months for the question to be answered. The finance minister will not answer, pushes it to national security. National security doesn't answer, and you have another member of Parliament, I don't know his position now, he used to be Minister for National Security, Brian Champong, coming out publicly to tell Ghanaians that he was the one who instructed the Minister of National Security not to respond to that question. And so we give you money, you can't account for it, and you expect us to give you more money.
Let's come back to
the COVID vaccine probe ended, and you still have Ajimaman working. And you want Parliament to
propose, should he be sacked?
He should have been sacked a year ago.
Right.
He has no business being there. If there is proof that you have messed state resources like that, and the president is not able to take any action against such a person, and you leave him there as a minister, and you expect that Parliament should appropriate monies to be given to him. So it means that, national resources have become like an American buffet where they will write, eat all you can for $10. When you pay $10 and you enter, it's like you eat everything, nobody holds you account. That is what President Akufo-Addo's government has become, and that is their attitude towards state resources, because nobody is held accountable. And Parliament's officer, who should be holding the executive accountable and reporting to us, to the Parliament, It's the Auditor General. And the Auditor General, the previous Auditor General, Domnevo, has been able to be empowered. There were civil society organizations who went to court, and the Supreme Court has interpreted the law to mean that the Auditor General can use the tool of surcharging to take monies that have been embezzled by people back into the government chest. And he has started doing it. Because he started doing it, he was sacked.
Okay.
And you see this...
Hold your horses, General. Hold your horses. Let's engage some of those who are following us on social media live. And these are some comments that they've been sending through. I would like you to reflect on some of them. This one says, was he part of the parliamentary proceeding? Why? He is just a party secretary and not a member of parliament. Is it not politics you are entertaining in this national issue? And that came through from Anthony Wastoni.
I don't understand.
Well, the person is saying that you are not a member of parliament.
And so what?
So
I can't sit in the public gallery. Or I cannot comment on national issues.
That is the person's assertion. Maybe I'll just go through them and then you can react to them.
There's a lot of education to be done.
Unblock. Benedict Safo says, is he an MP? Either invites the majority leader or the minority leader. I don't get that one too clearly. There is Mohammed Nuhu, who says, if you care to know, he is the main reason the majority group walked out of the chamber. And you say Bleeders Association, highly invited. So some also jabbing on social media. There is Morty Peter, who poses the question, why did they say Edun Ketia? Why was he in Parliament? Was he the one who was going to submit the budget? So it appears that a number of people have problems with your...
They're just playing to the gallery again.
And this next one says, okay, Jerry Donko says, why don't the majority leader, minority leader, and a neutral legal luminary get into the matter? So quite a number of messages coming through. One saying, one mosquito chased out 137 MPP elephants in Parliament. Okay, any reactions to some of these?
There's nothing to react. Absolutely nothing. You're asking why I should be there as a member, as an ordinary citizen. You're asking why I should be interested in how my nation is governed and for which reason I'll go to sit in the public gallery. I mean, you don't have to answer. You need to educate that person that it is his turn to go to the public gallery next week if he cares to know how his nation, the resources of the nation are managed. So that one is within the rights of every citizen. That was why I was expecting this MP or any other MP to quote some law and put it before the speaker to make a determination. All the noise he has been making, he has not been able to quote any law.
Okay.
That prevents citizens from sitting in a public gallery.
What do you think is the future of this rejection? The majority side has said that first, they're not going to tolerate the sort of aggressive posturing of your party. But they also say that on Tuesday, they are going to bring this matter back to the floor of Parliament and they're going to get a decision. It's interesting because we've seen what supposedly has come from Parliament, that the Right Honourable Speaker, I speak of Alban Bagbin, is going on a health, medical leave of sorts on the 27th, which was yesterday. He left. He will be back in December the 14th. That puts your party in a precarious position, right? Because I mean, we're going to have a deputy speaker from the other side in the chair, and things may not go your way on Tuesday.
It doesn't matter. Once you are in the chair, you are neutral. So whether it doesn't matter from which party the presiding officer will be coming for. The important thing is that once you occupy the speaker's chair, you are neutral. That is why when you are in the speaker's chair, you cannot vote.
But it's interesting you put it in that perspective, because the Right Honourable Bagbin himself has been accused of not being neutral. In fact, on the back of
have they cited any of his conducts? What, for instance, have they cited?
They cite, for example, the bit about the finance minister not being allowed
No, but because
you see,
further. That is where
they talk about the fact that you were not ejected.
I'm saying that was why. You see, you cannot be insisting on non-existent rights. You see, first of all, when proceedings were going on, Remember there was an earlier vote by voice. Did you see the speaker walking out any minister, including the Minister of Finance? No. Because an ordinary voice vote does not require the lobbies to be cleared. And the bulk of Parliament business is conducted through the ordinary voice vote. They will ask those who are in favor say aye, those who are against say no. And then the speaker makes a determination. So it is after somebody has decided to challenge the speaker's ruling. Then you move to the next stage of a more stringent voting system. And that is, if you want to go gradually, you move to a head count. When a head count is declared, then the members stand where they are on their feet, and then clerks will be appointed to count each side. They will say no, should stand up for counting, and they are counted, and the votes are recorded. When they say ayes should stand up and be counted, then they are counted and recorded. On that occasion, if you are a minister and you are on the floor of the House, nobody cares, because when you get up to be counted, you will be identified.
Right.
So it doesn't need you working out. But the next stage after the head count is the division. Okay? So after the voice vote, the Honorable Majority Chief Whip could have called for a head count, but he left the head count and he requested for a division. A division is the strictest form of voting, and it has its rules provided for in the standing orders.
Right.
So the lobbies must be cleared.
Right.
And anybody who does not have a vote has no business participating, because the people who are there, the speaker will put another voice vote after all those non-voters have left, so that he will be able to determine whether the ayes or noes have it. If still that is challenged, before he moves to the next stage where people names are entered and they indicate their...
So there's clarity on that matter. It's interesting. We put up a poll on Twitter right before the show started, and out of the number of people who had voted, 112 votes, the question was posed: let's engage on the probe, and do you feel Parliament erred? 32% said yes, and those who are in favor of what happened, 68%. But let's get into some more, thorny issues that have come to the fore. So, what exactly does the NDC want going forward? And that's from Amina from Taifa. What exactly are you looking for as a party going forward?
You see, we are trying to help the government to shape the budget in such a way that it will serve the national interest. That's all. We are not going to be the ones who will prepare another budget for this nation. And our objective is not to make sure that there is no budget, so there is chaos or anything. But there are things that are wrong with the budget. And we think that we have that responsibility to also contribute to our quota to help straighten things up. The problem is the attitude of that government and its appointees and the majority leader and this showmanship, posturing, and so on. You see, you have a problem, which is a national problem. Let us all come together and solve it.
All right.
Let us interrogate the issues and see which one is acceptable, which one is not acceptable, which one can be handled differently, and so on. So we have a budget that all of us will have a buy-in, and that which will serve the nation. You say no, we are a government, and we will do what we want. And that is the same attitude they are carrying to the floor on Tuesday. Okay. And it's not going to help anybody. Just calm down, swallow your pride, engage, and let us decide together how the budget will look like which will serve the interests of...
There are many more questions coming in for you. This one says, General Mosquito should take responsibility for the shutdown of the... That's permanent answer from Tema. Would you take responsibility?
No.
All right. What would it take for the NDC to agree with the majority in approving the budget? I think that has been addressed. This one...
That is the problem they have.
Right.
Because you have a house which is 137, and we are saying that let us share ideas as to what is best for this nation, so we all put it together and present it. And you say no.
Yeah.
When you know the population itself have big problems with that position. We don't want to be blamed alongside MPP on account of pushing this type of budget.
Yeah, Amofa in Dansoman says, is it the suspicion of Asiedun Ketia, that is NDC MPs, were going to be bribed, for which reason he was in Parliament to ensure that they did the right thing? Did you have any such suspicion?
Why? If you are a member of the public and you go and sit in the public gallery, it means that you have suspicion that your members will be bribed. What type of argument is that? The problem we have in this country is also that maybe our educational curriculum. We are not emphasizing on logic and clarity of thinking, you see, and that is part of our problem. If you are not able to analyze things logically, you cannot arrive at a good decision. So if you proceed analyzing a problem wrongly and illogically, you cannot get a right answer that will help move the nation forward.
Gideon Eshan in Cantonment says, what does he make of allegations that John Mahama, wanting to be president, is the reason the NDC wants to frustrate government's agenda? I mean, is that on your agenda? Is that on your plate?
The problem...
You want to frustrate government?
I'm saying that the problem of those who think like that...
Former candidates can...
The problem of those people who think like that is that even if once you have elected a government, even if they are cutting your throat, even if they are mismanaging your resources, your responsibility ends with electing that government and you have no role to play at all. That is wrong. That is not how democracy works. After you elect a government, you have a responsibility to participate in the governance. So when they're about to take a decision, that will not be in the national interest. You're stopping that wrong decision does not constitute frustrating of government business. If a corruption is about to happen and you want to stop it, and that means frustrating government business, the other way you have to look at the question is that, is government elected to engage in corruption or to steal? So if you see that there is something that is wrong, you must correct it. That does not amount to frustrating government business.
All right.
And in fact, it enhances government business.
I want to take three questions together, and then you address that, and that is how we'll draw the curtains on this. Is the NDC happy with the biased conduct of the speaker? That's from Isaac.
What type of bias?
In Tema. And you can just put all of them together. This one says, will the NDC oppose the majority's quest to reverse the speaker's ruling? That is Sarah Amo in La Paz. And one Kofi sends in this one. He says, if his party had introduced SAME in the budget, would he have approved it? These are questions that have come through.
The last question is the easiest. I have told you that we introduced VAT. We ourselves found out that there were problems with the introduction, so we withdrew it. That is the attitude we want this government to adopt. That when you see something wrong, swallow your pride. Don't think that when you correct a mistake that you have made, it means that you have suffered anything. You don't suffer. In fact, you appear stronger in the face of the people that you recognize that you are human beings, you are capable of making mistakes, and this is a mistake you have made, so you have the courage to correct it.
Right. Let's talk about the issue of bias.
The issue of bias, unless somebody cites the precise conduct of the speaker, which he calls bias. Because I've heard them referring to the point, the fact that the speaker asked the finance minister to leave. And I'm saying that how does it constitute bias? You, the majority side, requested for a certain procedure, and that is division. And the speaker is applying the rules of division by clearing everybody who is a non-voter. How does that constitute a bias? So people think that You know, MPP, they like throwing dust into the people's eyes. Because when this guy, busybody, was shouting, I said, Nketia must leave, he sought to create the impression that I was sitting at the same position as the finance minister. Yeah. And then the speaker pointed to the finance minister and said, you leave, let Asiedu Nketia stay. He doesn't even know that the sessions of the chamber are different. On the floor of the House, if you are not invited there, you can't be there.
Well, this is where we're going to have to wrap. It's always refreshing, having you deliver your take. General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. We're very grateful for your time, sir.
You're welcome.
And that is how we draw the curtains on the probe for tonight. This conversation continues, and on Tuesday we'll find out whether the budget will see the light of day. My name is Benjamin Akakpo, and to all of you who have watched on Joy News, Joy Prime, and of course followed on Joy 99.7 FM, we thank you for your time. Do have a good night.